Howdy everybody. I just washed my hair, had a workout this morning, and I thought, you know what? You guys know how I am. All natural sometimes, baby. Well, today, welcome to my channel first of all. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Marissa. So nice to meet you. It's a pleasure. But today I wanted to share my best Disney thrift hacks. And I hope that you guys like this. I know my thrifting videos seem to do like the best out of all my videos. And thrifting is something that I have been passionate about since I was a little girl. And I still remember being made fun of for wearing used clothing in elementary school. And now it's like trendy, which is so crazy to me. It's like everything comes full circle. And anyway, I just wanted to share my best Disney thrift hacks with you guys today because I'm so passionate about, you know, being eco-friendly, upcycling, getting things used, and I am just really excited to share my tips and hacks with you guys. So I hope that you enjoy this video. Before we get into it, I wanted to share that today I am wearing one of the new designs from the Park Hop Tees spring collection, and this is the Jungle Cruise one. So it says Jungle Crew on the front, and then on the back, let's see if you can see it. Can you see it? So cute! I'm hoping you can see it. I can't really tell for sure, but this is one of their new designs. They have so many new designs for spring, and as always, I have my discount code in the description box if you want to check them out. But I just wanted to share that in case you're wondering what this new really cool shirt is that I'm wearing. So anyway, let's get on with the thrifting hacks. Oh, and also at the end of this video, I'm gonna be sharing my favorite places to thrift in Orlando, so stay tuned for that. All right, everyone, getting into my first thrift hack, which is look everywhere and at every item. The thing about thrifting is it is time consuming, very, very time consuming. People watch my videos and they see all the good stuff that I get. They don't see the hours that I spend going through every single item, all of the items that I see and I put back because I'm not interested in them, or they may be like too worn out or things like that. So my best advice is to look at every single item and every single area of the store. Now there are certain areas I tend to avoid, like the movies. I don't buy movies anymore, so I usually skip those because I just watch everything online now, or I buy like the digital version. There's certain areas that, yeah, I probably won't go look at the movies, but then there's some areas where there's things that I probably don't need, but I still look just to be safe. So an example of this is blankets. I don't usually look at blankets because I have so many, but one day I was passing through the blankets and I saw something out of the corner of my eye, and I kept walking and I was like, it's whatever, I don't need more blankets. And I went back and looked, and that's when I found my vintage Winnie the Pooh blanket, which you may have seen in my other videos. And if I hadn't gone and looked in that section, I wouldn't have found that blanket, which is one of my favorite blankets now. So I really just suggest looking at every single section and at every piece of clothing. And the reason I say that as well is because you can't really tell when you're looking through racks and racks of shirts and sweaters which ones are gonna be Disney, or even if it's not Disney, if you just like thrifting, or which ones are gonna be a design that you like. So I really suggest it takes forever, but going through every single piece of clothing. And there are areas I spend more time on and areas I don't spend as much time on, because obviously I can't spend 8 hours a day at their thrift shop. So usually like I'll just kind of pass through like pajamas and tank tops and things like that. I spend more time in the men's section than I do in the women's section, actually, because I find that the men's section usually has a better selection of t-shirts. But yes, look at every single area in the store and every single piece of clothing that you can. Obviously I understand we don't have all the time in the world, but that's my best thrift hack for you guys. Next up, my next tip is to keep going. Within thrifting, there are good days and bad days, like everything. And I will say, a lot of times I get comments in my videos like, oh my gosh, I don't know how you get so lucky. I never find anything. And trust me, some days I am not lucky. I've gone thrifting 3 times this year in 2022 already. And 2 of those trips I walked out with nothing in my hands. And that happens more times than you would believe. Some days I get incredibly lucky and I walk out with like 8 items, and some days I walk out with nothing. So my best advice is, if you don't find anything the first time, don't be afraid. Keep going back, because you never know what you're gonna find. There's new items every single day. And there is a fruit fly, so I apologize if you can see that zooming by the camera. Okay, next up, my next tip is to that came out weird. My next tip is don't be afraid of sizes. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the times at thrift shops, you're not going to find your perfect size. If you can find something that's a little bit bigger, don't be afraid of that, because you can always tuck in the shirt, you can always tie the shirt, you can always like sew it if you're good at sewing and make it a little bit smaller. You can always use it as like a shirt to wear with biker shorts. There's so many different ways that you can use clothes that may be a little bit larger than your size. So don't be afraid of sizing up a little bit. I have a lot of sweaters as well that are kind of upsized, like crew necks, and I love them because they're nice and comfortable. So just because it's not in your size, it doesn't mean that you can't style it and make use out of it. So don't be afraid of that. If you love something and you really, really want it, just because it's a little bit bigger, you know, yeah, that's my best tip for that one. Okay, my next tip is to consider stained and worn out items. And the reason I say that is because sometimes I find items that I love and they'll have some staining or a little bit of wear and tear on them, maybe a hole, maybe the colors are faded a little bit. And the reason I say consider them is because, first off, a lot of clothes that are like stained or like torn or things like that are trendy now. People might like them. Okay, sorry if the angle changed, my camera ran out of memory. But anyway, some of the items that are like stained and worn and torn, worn out a little bit, are actually like kind of trendy nowadays. And so don't be like afraid of that. But if it's really bad, there's a lot of ways to combat staining and wear and tear. First off, if it's an easy stain to get out, like dirt or like food, some foods are really easy to get out, you can just use Shout and soak it for a little bit. Another hack I've learned is vinegar, like distilled vinegar and water. If your clothes are like white but they're like yellowed a little bit, that's a good hack. I also really like the idea of tie dyeing. I have my vintage Minnie Mouse sweater that I really want to tie dye, and I think that would be perfect because it has some like yellowing on it. So I think yellow tie dye first off would look really good with the sweater because it has like a yellow design on it, but it would also help disguise the stains a little bit. Something else too is a lot of people like to crop things that they get at thrift shops. So if there's some staining on the bottom, you could always just crop it and cut that part out. Or if it's a little bit worn and torn as well, that's another way, is like tie dyeing it, making it look super cool and super new. There's so many ways that you can upcycle the shirt, or you know, whatever, shorts, dresses, whatever, without having to just like leave it at the thrift shop, and you can give it more life and have something super unique. And you can always also do this with shoes. Like if you find like a worn out pair of shoes but it's like a super cool pair of shoes, you could add some color to it, you can bleach them. There's so many ways to be able to reuse that clothing without just having to toss it out. Okay, my next tip is to put everything that you're considering in your cart or your bag that you're carrying all of your stuff in. And the reason that I say this is because sometimes I walk past things and I'm like, I don't think so. And then the next couple days I'm like, I wish I had gotten that. I wish I had gotten that. I do that so many times. Or I'm in a thrift store and I walk past something and then I go back and it's gone. So if you see something that you are considering and you think is cool, put it in your cart or your bag, and at the end you can go through everything and double check and make sure, yes, I want this item, or no, I don't want this item. And then after that you can just put everything back, or you'll have something that you ended up considering and deciding you wanted after you spent the whole time walking around the thrift store. So definitely that is another one of my tips. Next up is to look up prices online. So this is more when things are a little bit overpriced and you're not really sure if you should be paying that much for like something that's vintage or collectible. Definitely look up prices online. You can find so many things on eBay and Poshmark and Mercari and see if you're paying a fair price for it. That's happened to me a few times at the Lakeland Antique Mall, where I see things that I really want, but I'm like, oh, that's pretty high price, and then I'll look it up and it's actually a lot cheaper online. So if that's something that you really, really want, then you don't have to pay an arm and a leg for it, and you can probably find it for cheaper. And my last tip is to check out Poshmark, Mercari, and Depop, or eBay as well, if it's something that if thrifting is something that you're enjoying and not really doing for income reasons, like looking for things that might be a little bit cheaper and in your budget, if you can afford to shop on Poshmark, Depop, and Mercari, that would help leave more inventory in thrift shops for other people that do need to shop there. So I highly recommend looking at those websites. I also found a really cool vintage Epcot sweater from a online shop called Fierce Petite, and they have a lot of cool stuff as well, or ThredUp. There's so many online like thrift thrift clothing things. There's actually one clothing store that does like bulk Disney sweaters, and I'm dying to order a package from them and open it on camera because I think that would be so much fun. And there's just so many things. Like if you can afford it and can afford to buy more curated items, that's a great place to look, and then you're finding exactly what you want instead of looking through hours and hours of thrift store finds. So that's another one of my tips if you are interested. And lastly, I wanted to share my favorite places in Orlando to go thrifting. So hopefully this can help maybe if you live here or if you are looking for somewhere to go when you come into town. So first off, the place I always recommend to people if they're visiting is the Lakeland Antique Mall, which is not in Orlando. It's like an hour outside of Orlando, but this is an incredible place. And yes, some of the prices are high. Some of the prices are very, very low. I found ears there. I found Funko Pops. I found pins. I found vintage shirts for a very, very affordable price. Some of my vintage shirts I got from there are like $4 to $5, and they're like truly vintage. So I highly recommend the Lakeland Antique Mall. If you don't know what it is, it's a huge warehouse that is filled with Disney items that like of every possible imagination, or Universal items. And they also have regular thrifted items too, like sports items and just like furniture and all kinds of things. But the really cool thing about them is they get a lot of stuff directly from Disney and Universal. We don't get it directly from them, but they have like people who purchase from Disney and Universal and then bring it to the Lakeland Antique Mall. So they have like furniture from the actual hotel rooms. They have props from like Horror Nights. They have all kinds of cool stuff there. But my favorite stuff, well, I do enjoy like looking through all that because I can't afford it. But my favorite stuff to buy there are the clothes, the ears, the Funko Pops, and the pins. They have so many pins, you would not even believe your eyes. And I just love it so much. I'm looking at so many things in this room right now that I purchased from the Lakeland Antique Mall. That donut pillows from the Lakeland Antique Mall. Behind the camera, there's some sun catchers in the window from Lakeland Antique Mall. Pretty much all of our Funko Pops are from the Lakeland Antique Mall. Like, we just love it, and I'm dying to go back because it's so much fun. Oh, my little R2-D2 Christmas decoration is from there as well. Just so much fun stuff. The next place I highly suggest going to is Boys and Girls Club of Central Florida. Now, I want to talk about this one a little bit because when I posted my TikTok, it got a lot of, actually, it just got one controversial comment that kind of stood out to me, and I want to pinpoint that, which is that these items at Boys and Girls Club are for low-income families. And I just want to talk about that because the items at the Boys and Girls Club of Central Florida are directly from the Disney parks. So there's a ton of Mickey ears, clothes, journals, hats, all kinds of stuff. And I had a blast going there because they are super discounted. You can go to my last video if you want to see what I got, but I got 2 pairs of ears for $16 together. They were $8 each, 2 hats for $5 each, and a bag for $7. And I just want to say that this part of the store is the only store at Boys and Girls Club of Central Florida that is not discounted. It is not a super low price, and me and my friend were the only ones in that section because it is completely separated from the rest of the store. It is like in a completely separate area from everything else in the store. And also all of the profits and proceeds go towards the Boys and Girls Club of Central Florida. So it is like a charitable thing when you purchase from there. So I just wanted to talk about that because some of the items from the Disney parks there were not cheap. There were a pair of Pirates of the Caribbean leggings that were $44. I really wanted them. They were so cute. Actually, they weren't like leggings. They're kind of like joggers. I really wanted them. They were so cute. I can't afford that, so I did not buy them. But I just want to pinpoint that Boys and Girls Club of Central Florida has amazing items and they are at a great price, but they are not like they are not thrifted. What's the best way to word this? They are not like a regular thrift store item because the rest of the thrift store was like a normal thrift store where every week a different color is discounted. This area was completely separate. It was just Disney items. But that is a great place to look if you're looking for something fun for Disney. Next up, one of my favorite thrift stores is Out of the Closet, and this is an incredible thrift store. I think there's one in Orlando and there's one in LA if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But Out of the Closet is a thrift store that some of their proceeds go towards AIDS and HIV research. They also have a walk-up clinic where they do free HIV and AIDS testing, and they are just an incredible thrift store, and they have so much cute stuff. They always have a lot of Disney and Star Wars shirts and things of that nature. I got my I Love Lucy cookie jar from there, which is where I keep my Disney pins. I've gotten a lot of shirts from there. My friend Jordan got a lot of homeware items from there. Highly recommend, and that it goes towards a good cause, so I highly recommend them. And my last favorite place to go in Orlando is Goodwill of Kissimmee. So Kissimmee, if you don't know, is like where Disney is located pretty much. Like Buena Vista is right next to Kissimmee, and so this is a great place to go because I find so many Disney items here, and it's very hit or miss. Like I said, I've been 2 times this year and I haven't found anything, but there's been times in the past where I have come home with so much stuff, and I really love this thrift store. It's not in the best area, so if you get there and you're kind of like confused, it's kind of like hidden in this little like shopping plaza, but it's a very nice thrift store, and it is humongous, and I always find so much good stuff. Well, not I shouldn't say that. I don't always find so much good stuff, but a lot of the times I find really good stuff. And yeah, my friend Princess Shannon went once and she found so much good stuff, and I was so jealous because I was like, oh, one day I don't go. They have the cutest stuff. So I just love Goodwill of Kissimmee. It's like my favorite Goodwill ever. Anyway, guys, that is it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed these thrift hacks, and hopefully that they help you on your next thrifting trip. I hope you all are having a wonderful week, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye, guys.